Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you a really cool trick on making some abstract volume. So let me show you what it looks like, and then we'll get into it. Okay, so this is the render we're going to be making. As you can see, those purple and blue icons. That's what we're going to be making. All those other features, those are done in After Effects, but we're just going to be focusing on the volume for this. All right, so open up your scene, clear it out. We're going to be using Blender 2.8 and Eevee. So Shift A, and we're going to add a cube. I'm just going to scale it up just a little bit, and we're going to be working with this. All right, let's go up to the shading preset here in Blender 2.8. We got that, and let's make sure that our render engine is on Eevee, and let's go through. We'll definitely need volume. That's the most important thing here, and we'll need some bloom. Here in volumetric, make sure your tile size is at 4 at the moment. We'll be moving it up to 2 for render, and then make sure that volumetric shadows and lighting are also checked. So now, let's hit Z, click render, and you can't see anything. Let's go over here, click new, and delete the current principled, and we're going to add a principled volume. Plug the volume into the volume socket here. So now we have all this. So nothing's really going on. If we bring up the emission strength, now you can kind of see some volume playing around, but this is pretty boring. So let's add a color ramp. And we need to add 2 textures. That would be a Voronoi texture and a Moosegrave texture. Now we'll plug the color into the vector, the color into the factor here, and the color into the emission strength and the density. So now we can play around with it kind of like this till we get some really cool stuff just like that. And then on our tile size here on volumetric, switch it to 2 and you get sharper volumes. So as we get these 2 pieces closer together, we'll get some really interesting stuff. If you bring it all the way over here, it's a lot thinner, and you can just go in and have quite a bit of fun playing with these. And then you can go over here to the detail, and we get some different stuff here as we play with the texture settings. And you can play with the scale just like this. You can do some really, really awesome stuff with these textures and playing around with them. But this is also kind of boring in terms of our color. So what we're going to do is add in a new color ramp. And let's pick 2 complementary colors. We're going to pick just the standard blue and red. So we'll grab a blue here, and then on the white, we'll grab the red, and we'll plug that color into the emission color. Now they're just mixing. We need to plug this Voronoi texture into the color ramp. So still can't really tell anything's going on. Of course, we need to bring these closer together, and now you can start to see some really cool stuff happening. And you'll have to tweak these around till you get the look that you're going for, and you just got to play around till it cooperates and does what you think looks good. And this is all completely up to you. I've noticed on the Moosegrave texture, the lower the detail, the better it looks for this color switch. So I'm going to bring it up to right around here to get that look we're going for. And yeah, so now we get these sort of amoeba cell looking things that are really, really cool. Again, you don't have to use a Voronoi and a Moosegrave. Any texture works for this. It doesn't matter. So I'm just going to click here for my world settings and bring all the way down to black so we get more vibrant look. I'm going to add a camera here and Shift Alt 0 and bring it in just a little bit so we can just see what we're working with. And let's go back to shading. All right, so we want to animate this in a loop. So I'm going to add a mapping node and a texture coordinate node. And we'll plug the generated into the vector and the mapping into the vector of the Moosegrave. So how this animates, let me bring down my tile size so I can show you kind of what's going on. We'll put it on 8, super blurry, but you'll be able to see what's going on. As I change this rotation, you can kind of see it doing its thing as it animates. So we'll take this Y here, and that's what we're going to animate. So I'm just going to bring up our timeline. I'm going to get the timeline here, and I'm going to leave it here at 250 frames. The more frames, the slower the animation. Personally, a slower animation looks better for this volume stuff. It's just nice and mesmerizing to look at. So I'm going to right click on the Y, insert keyframe, click this icon right here, and then hit the right arrow to go one more. Otherwise, if you do that, this last frame and the very first frame are going to be the same thing, and it'll have a 1 frame pause and it won't look good. So you need to skip a frame to skip that. So 251, and on the Y, type 360 to rotate it 360 degrees, and that'll be a perfect loop. And we'll see it start to animate. Now, when you're rendering, you want your tile size to be at 2, so it'll be this nice sharp look. But if you want to preview it, just put it at 8 so your Eevee can actually handle. But this is what it's going to look like when it renders, and it's going to look really, really awesome. Here's a little trick on coloring right before I finish here. I love to do this. So here on the color, if I'm having trouble and I just don't know what to pick or what to use, I like to put in a hue saturation node right here. And if I click it, we get all these different types of iterations and colors, and it can help you come up with some better ideas like this. This is really, really cool. So you can go in and use that. And that's how you do it. Let me show you the export settings for this. So for export, 1920 by 1080 looks really good. And right down here where it says output, change it to FFmpeg video, click encoding, change it to MP4. Right down here in the video codec, change it to high quality. And so all this is good. You select where you can save it right here. And then right up here, render animation, and that'll render it out for you. So there you go. You made some really cool abstract volumetrics. If you make it, send it to me on Instagram. It's linked in the description. And thanks for watching.